You to Baltimore. You gotta go to the ride.
The ride?
Every Sunday in the summer, everybody with a bike show out. This bike's far as you can see. Hold the bike back, straight up, like the hands of a clock when it hit midnight.
What's that?
That's the Midnight Click. They got the best bikes, the best tricks, the best riders. It's flex. Midnight Click legend.
So that's who you want to be down with then?
One bet? Bet you. $50. My bike is the best one out of all of us, bro. Last year I was just Mouse. This year I'm finna be MNC Mouse. And nobody gonna stop me.
Click ain't gonna respect you till you pulling up on a new bike. This ain't a charity, but you could rebuild it if you want to earn it.
What about my friends, though? I'm not working for free in no auto shop. That ain't even how you go about getting your own bike in Baltimore City, yo. How you do it then? Like that.
Y'all do exactly what I say, and you gonna get paid.
Where you get all this?
Oh, Lord, everything costs.
You need to be more wise about who you make your friends. When it's time to be loyal, everybody disappeared.
I just want you to know that I'm here for you and that I got your back.
You never been?
To the ocean. I ain't never been outside West Baltimore before.
We'll go one day.
Don't give up on your dreams. They don't get no easier to hold on to.
Boys wait for other people. Men go out and get it. What you wanna do?
Where you been at today? I would lock your ass up.
Stacking that spinach, you know the routine.
You know what a second chance life for people like me and you? People like us don't get no second chances, Mouse.
You know the routine, you know the routine.
Just promise me you're gonna do right.
Now we're gonna have a really good Q&A conversation with Manuel Soto, the director, Jahi Winston, who plays, who's in the film, who plays a kid, and Marvin Raheem. So please join us on stage. Angel. Jessica Perez, culture editor, writer. Jessica will go this way. Is going to be our moderator for today. So give it up for Jessica Perez. Journalist. Hey, Jessica.
Awesome.
So hang tight. We're gonna get right here. Enjoy.
Cool, cool. How you guys feeling tonight? Good. Energy. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy. We've been through some couple of months, right? Like COVID, racial pandemic hit us. I mean, whew, it just feels such a great blessing to be with all of you, celebrating tonight, celebrating Angel Manuel Soto, film director. Incredible job. We have Marvin Raheem here, Baltimore in the house. Thank you guys, first of all, for being a part of such a great film. Angel, we're gonna dive right into it because I know that there's just so much that goes into Charm City Kings, but I want you to dig deeper and let us know. Ah, yes, hello. Is that
Jahi?
Is that Jahi? Hi, Jahi. We can't see you.
Hi.
Hey! Give it up for Jahi. Hey! How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Am I on the big screen?
You are on the big screen in New York City.
Come on.
That's what's up. And people are rooting for you here. Wow, it's incredible to have you here. So thank you for joining the conversation. We're going to dive deep into Charm City Kings. And Angel is going to give us a little backstory. What inspired you to create this movie?
Well, the script came to me via Overbrook. The inspiration for the script that Barry Jenkins started developing came from the documentary 12 O'Clock Boys. And out of that, Barry Jenkins and a group of other people within Overbrook started developing a take on that world. That documentary was very well executed in presenting a subculture that, at least when I saw it, I was in Puerto Rico and I had never really experienced something like that with that eye, in a way. So yeah, so they started developing that story, and then Barry Jenkins went on to do Moonlight, and that's when Sherman Payne came in, but before I started working with Sherman Payne, I already read a draft that Barry Jenkins wrote, and one of the things that I connected with the story, apart from exploring a coming of age journey of a kid within that subculture, was that I was able to see a lot of what I went through in my upbringing in Puerto Rico reflected in the character of Mouse. And there were a lot of similitudes between Mouse and my come up. And I felt like I always wanted to tell stories about Puerto Rico, about growing up in Puerto Rico, about the effects of colonialism in the island and all the systematic oppression that comes with it. And I always found a hard time being able to convince people to pay attention to the stories about Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico. But when I read this story, I felt like they were telling the story of Puerto Rico as well. And with that, it came very clear. We spoke about this, and with the other guys in the movie, we always felt that Puerto Rico and Baltimore were almost the same. Like we kept saying over and over that there's a Baltimore in every major city in America. There's a Baltimore in the middle of the Caribbean. And I felt like Puerto Rico and Baltimore do meet in that intersection of what it's like to be a community forgotten and marginalized and criminalized by a system that makes it look less than. And I felt like this is the opportunity to tell not only my story, but also be able to tell the story of the people in Baltimore with the people of Baltimore being with us. Like we had, like I said before, we had Willie Wayne with us constantly, and he definitely was able to carry and keep the authenticity of the whole thing, and just involving the whole, everybody from Baltimore, including Marvin, into the project.
Well, you have a great way of showing authenticity in your film, and I'm pretty sure we all felt, everything. We felt compassion. We felt, the racial, injustices that we see in these communities. And I want to know, how was it that you were able to ensure that authenticity through the characters? And Jahi, if you want to also jump in and also share, how are you also able to showcase that authenticity through your character, Mouse?
I'll be real quick, so I wanna hear Jahi say this. But in my case, more than just being able to tell my story, because as a kid coming up, it is very similar. I really wanted to stay true to Baltimore, mainly because I always hate when people come and tell the story of Puerto Rico without spending time, without bonding with the people in Puerto Rico. They just go there, do their job, and leave. And all you get is like this slapstick version of a culture that nobody really understands or gets. So from the beginning that I landed in Baltimore, I spent time with Willie Wayne. I went to the ride. I spent time with Marvin. I spent time with the community. And we really went out to them. We reached out to them so that they would keep us in check into portraying them the best way we could. The movie is still a movie. It's not a documentary. But within the constraints of a fiction story, we really wanted to do the best we could into showing not just like everything is so sad and everything is so, like, you want to see problems, just watch the news. We just wanted to show a little bit of hope within the context of the struggles of marginalized communities.
Right. How about you, Jahi? Because you brought that Be More swag, and I know you're from Atlanta, Georgia, so how were you able to bring that authenticity and nail that Be More swag into your role, Mouse?
Well, I think a lot of what Angel said was really true, but also I think just us being fully immersed into immersed in the environment. I mean, 100% of the movie was shot in West Baltimore. So all of the neighborhoods, all of the streets, all everything that you see is what you said. It's 100% authentic. So there would be no way, no logical way for us to fake it with us being so fully immersed into the environment, and also surrounded by the people of Baltimore. You know, Baltimoreans are so unabashedly like, man, I'm on my way to work. I don't care about this camera. I don't care about this. Like, you're in my way. This is my neighborhood, and Marv is a great example of that. Like, he is Baltimore. Like, he's so unabashedly like he's proud of his city, and so having people like him being around and being with us and having him sort of be like the frame of reference, like, yo, is this true? Is this the authentic thing? That was really helpful as well.
How about you, Marvin? You're from Be More. How did you get involved into the film? Because we were talking behind scenes and you were telling me, like, this is my first time acting. How did you get involved into the film?
I got involved. One day I came outside and I looked up the street.
Put it closer.
One day I came outside and I looked up the street and it was dirt bikes and cameras, and that's the best of both worlds for me. Like, I like cameras and I like dirt bikes, so I just I had to sneak past security and everything just to get onto the set and everything, just to watch them, and it got to a point where I just was like, I need to take my chance and just show them that I know how to ride and be polite and come through I rode through the movie set doing one of their breaks, so I was like, I found a nice time and to really just showing my skills when they was about to take a break, so they really liked my skills and stuff, so I hung around and everything for like a week and a half, and I got a job doing the blocking off the streets and stuff, so nobody won't walk on the set. And before that day was over with, right after lunch, I was actually called in the back alley by Caleb Pinkett, Jada Pinkett's brother, to asked me that could I play a role for him, because the actor that they had, he couldn't ride the 450 that they had, so they needed somebody that knew how to ride. Right, I had to come through for them. They needed somebody that knew how to ride, so they needed somebody that knew how to ride. They wanted to know if I knew how to act. It wasn't my first time. I mean, it was my first time acting, so.
You do this.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. Right, it was crazy, but. Like it was like I only had one chance, and I had to take it. So.
And he stepped up to it. Like he really went for it. If I was him, I wouldn't have done it. Like, I'm really shy in front of the camera.
Right.
And like props to that. And same thing with Shay. Shay also, he's here. Go Hard Boys. He's the guy that takes his gun.
Shout out to Shay.
Shout out to Shay. But yeah, like one thing was like he stepped up to the plate, and literally the next day we shot that scene where he stole the bike. That was like that scene where he steals a bike and he like tells Miles like, oh, let me ride that bike. That was his first acting ever.
Wow.
And then
Congrats.
Congrats. And then for the other scenes, we got an acting coach. We went with him. He went on with the acting coach. He went on with the stunt coordinators. They practiced the beat-up scene. And 3 weeks later, he stepped out and he leveled his game. And yeah, it was a great moment to see.
Marvin, how was that moment where you see so much of your city Be More, and this is a lifestyle for a lot of people in your city? How is it to see it in the big screen, and were you expecting to see the story narrate the way it did?
Yeah, actually it was very exciting. It seemed legendary to me. So
amazing. Amazing.
Right, definitely.
Jahi, and how do you feel about working with Meek? You got the opportunity to work with Meek Mill. How was that interaction? How were you able to grasp on the mentorship that he was able to translate through camera?
Meek was incredible. He really was. He's such a natural, and he's another person who isn't from West Baltimore. He's from Philly, but he's so immersed into the culture of dirt bike riding and that whole thing. Obviously, for those of us who are familiar with his story, we know that he's very familiar with this culture. So to have him there was another great example of how we were able to bring the authenticity, but also just from a performance perspective. So there were sometimes he scared me when we were in the scene because I was looking and I was like, okay, like I'm trying to go where he's going, and then he'll do something that throws me left field. And I'm like, that's good. Like I'm with it. Like he scares me in a good way. He scares me in a way that makes me excited to have a scene partner that's so engaged, and he was so fully immersed into the story that we were telling. And so when you're surrounded by someone like that, I mean, it can only make you better. And uh, yeah, it was really amazing to work with me.
Well, you had several mentors. You had also the officer who was your mentor, and I think it was incredible to showcase, that there are black men that can mentor other kids. And I love the way that you portrayed that on film, and I love the way that it developed, right? Because most times we don't appreciate or we don't see that side within the black community. So for you to do that so nicely, I want to know how were you able to translate that mentorship and add so much value into characters like Meek and the officer?
Well, one of the things that I really wanted to explore more than focus on the mentorship and them as characters individual is like what would be how would that be perceived from the point of view of Mouse?
Right.
And Latinos, black people, like we struggle with toxic masculinity. Like I'm 37 years old, and I'm still dealing with shit that I grew up with. And one of the things that we always keep talking about is like one of the reasons that Mouse made the decisions he made was because toxic masculinity. Like, this is what it's like to be a man. This is what is a man. Amen, amen, amen. All that pressure that comes into a kid, we were thinking like, what would it be like to have actually the option to choose or be faced with that fork in the road? And for me personally, it was one of those moments where I could maybe explore as an individual what it would be like to have a different option in my life growing up as a kid. Not saying my dad is amazing and everybody around me was amazing, but what if I had a different upbringing? What if I had a different opportunity into doing things differently? And thinking about friends of mine who also struggle with the same issue. And with this and the idea of exploring the character of Mouse through that lens allowed us to work on a film that was not only showing one mentorship as an option, but different type of points of views that all meant well, but it's kind of like the road to hell is paved with good intentions type of thing.
Right.
And I feel like this is kind of like a really good way of exploring that topic without being preachy about it.
Right.
It's really like Mouse did the choices he made, and he definitely got a second chance. And wouldn't it be nice to have somebody who's willing to do that for you if you never grew up with that opportunity?
Right.
And I believe that that type of outpouring of in the community is needed, because not everybody grows up with the opportunity of having the right mentorship. But what if everybody else who has had that opportunity feels a moral obligation to give back to the community in that realm? And I feel like exploring that topic weaved into a story of bike riding and weaved into Baltimore and all those other things. I feel like if it was an organic way of exploring it. And I'm with having like Will Catlett and Meek and even Tiana and Jahi navigate those waters in a very authentic way without really pushing him or really like saying, oh, this is the way. No, he made the decisions as a kid because that's what happens when you're a kid growing up in a marginalized community. And I feel like that is exactly the type of journey that I wanted to explore with him.
I feel like the film has so many quotables, and one of my favorite lines from the film was when Blacks told the character Mouse, and he was like, riding a bike is about freedom, is not about flexing. How can you interpret that in your own words, Jahi, and what did that mean to you?
Well, I'll say, I think now more than ever, we live in a culture where it is about showing off and trying to prove yourself to other people. And I think, sure, and I think we all have our own ideas of success, but I think we always miss the second part of success, which is significance. And so if you're trying to flex for the gram, you're trying to flex for everybody, your friends, a girl, or your significant other, or whoever, that's all cool and all, but there has to be an internal goal at the end of the day. And what are you trying to accomplish internally? And I interpret that in my own life, just with my own career, my own life, and my own relationships. And that's one of the examples of how this character in this film has sort of helped me develop and grow as a human being and as an individual, which is something that I try to accomplish with all of my characters. But that's how I interpret that. It's an incredible line from the film. It's one of my favorites too. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. One of also my favorites. There's so many favorites, favorite moments. The ending was a beautiful thing because I was thinking, I was like, I hope he doesn't die. I hope he doesn't die. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people felt that way, right? Like you were like, no, Mouse, please don't die. But we see so much hope through Mouse's character. What inspired you to create that twist at the end and just showcase inspiration?
Yeah, well, that's we worked with Sherman Payne, who did the rewrites, and really like gave a lot of that banter with the kids and that energy that felt so authentic. We started to talk about, because we had a different ending, and even though the ending in itself was already hopeful, given the facts of like if you turn on the news, you already know what's gonna happen in that life. We really wanted to show something different for kids. If kids are gonna see this movie, if you turn, like I said, you turn on the news, you watch a documentary, you know how things are gonna end. And I don't know. I feel like there's a place for that, and it's fine. And in my first film, I felt like I went through that rabbit hole, and in a good way of exploring the existentialism of being marginalized. But here we were like, what if we show an outcome to it? What if we show what it would be like to actually take advantage of a second chance and pursue it genuinely with all your heart? And we started talking about, let's just provide an option to kids, to the youth when they see this movie. Like when they see it, they don't leave depressed and no, and feel like there's nothing up to my life. Like this is how things are gonna end. So why should I consider another outlet? Why should I think that I deserve a second chance? And we really worked hard into not being light about what happened. Yes, yes, there's suffering. Yes, somebody's life got lost. But if you had a second chance, what should you do? What would really be the right way to go about it? And we felt that even though it might be unrealistic in a way, wouldn't it be nice that that was the case? And I felt like just giving in to that hope in a world right now which seems pretty hopeless. I feel like, let's make a difference. Let's show something, even though it might be like, oh, that doesn't happen that way. You're like, exactly. Right. It doesn't happen that way. That's why we want to show something different. Maybe one life changes. And for me, that's enough. Right. And if it changes the whole point of view of a community, then we're doing the right thing. So I hope that it's perceived in that way, because I would never want to, kind of like shine out of the experience of being marginalized because it's rough. It's not like this. Like this ending is not real life, and we know that. But wouldn't it be nice for our endings to be like that if it ever went that way? And that's exactly where we headed to, and we embraced
And the
it.
perspective behind it.
Correct.
It's amazing. As you know, we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month.
Boricua.
Eso. And I wanted to touch on the topic of inclusion and also diversity within, films nowadays. And I wanted you to share a little bit more about being Black Latinos and the commonality between both. How was that working with different actors and just bringing diversity into your films?
There's a quote that I read once that I love. It says, "Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being invited to dance." And I felt that, in the East Coast, like New York, like the East Coast is very familiar with the concept of intersectionality. And back in the day, this is like a long history class, but long story short, Black and brown people stuck together through a lot of the issues and the discriminations that are going in the U.S., bringing up, especially like in New York. And there's been that bond, like, that's how you get hip hop, and that's how you get a lot of these amazing, beautiful people that the States is not used to see. I mean, in Puerto Rico, we have that mix. And I'll never downplay the fact that in Puerto Rico racism exists, but we definitely grew up with the whole notion, as real or not as it is, that we are 1/3 Black, 1/3 Taino, 1/3 Native. It doesn't matter how white or brown you look. There's that in you. And when I went to Baltimore, and I started seeing more similarities between Baltimore and Puerto Rico than differences, I definitely felt like I was invited to the family, the same way that I would invite them to my family back home. Spending time with the different, like with Pug, with Coco, with everybody that was in the documentary also, and they were part of the film, with Marvin, with Willie, with everybody that was a part of it. I felt like I was in Puerto Rico. I was just, different climate and different architecture and, different language. But the struggles of the forgotten are so similar that the victories and the beauty of the forgotten is also almost the same. We're loud, we like music, we like to hang out all the time. We love spending time with each other. It was all love from the beginning. Like, it's something very unreal that in other parts of the U.S. you don't really get. And being able to have that bond with that community as a Latino is just reassured to me that Black and brown people should always stick together.
I love that. I feel like that deserves an applause. I love that.
Thank you.
Jahi, I've seen your Instagram, and you've been so vocal about Black Lives Matter. You've been so vocal about social injustices, and I would like for you to share with us, what does it mean to you, Black Lives Matter?
What Black Lives Matter means to me, Black Lives Matter, okay, let's see. It's the antithesis of everything that this country has said about Black people. That's what it is to me. It is an amalgamation of everything that our oppressors and our colonizers and our tormentors have said that we are not. Mm-hmm. And it is a celebration of who we are, our lives, and not just who we are, but who we were made to be. We were made to be magic, all of us. However, some of us are put in a position, given our societal structure and the hierarchical nature of our societal structure, some of us are put into the position to reach the magical and the admirable aspects of life more than others. And so this movement that we're in, this culture shift that we're in, is about making sure that everyone has the opportunity to reach that state of admirability and admiration, rather, and to live a life where they can feel comfortable in their own skin and to feel like they matter in the country in which they were born in. So, I wholeheartedly support that movement. I will always advocate for that movement. I am so proud to be a part of a film like this, because it just goes to show just how things work and the timing of everything. This movie was obviously supposed to come out earlier in the year, but given the circumstances of the pandemic, and for it to come out now in this moment and this time in our culture just speaks to the timing of everything. It's like, man, it couldn't be more perfect. So I'm so proud. Yes, absolutely. I'm so proud to be part of this film. I was worried, I'm gonna be honest, and then I'll make this last point and then I'll move on. But I was worried that because of the character of Rivers, that people might see that as like, oh, we're sort of protecting the police a little bit, like cutting them some slack. But then I thought of the short monologue that Mouse gives right after Rivers sort of tries to follow him home, and so is like, I'm your mentor, like listen to me. And Mouse does that whole, when have you ever done anything?
I think it ended.
Internet.
It ended. I know we're cutting short on time right now. But just one last message.
You know that he's not 42. He's a teenager, right?
I know that. Marvin, I know that this film had a lot to show, with Be More where you're from. And I would hope, right, Angel, that we made Baltimore very proud through this film.
I hope so. I mean, I did what I would want to be done with Puerto Rico, and I'm not one to speak if I did good, but Marvin is. So if Marvin approves, I'm like, I'm good. He is from there. He is Mouse. He is what you saw there. Right. And so, like Willie Wayne, like all those guys from Baltimore, this movie is them and it's for them. And they were there too. Like they kept us on check too. Like they were not being, if we said something wrong, they would Chino would say it. Like they would say it. And I really hope this was good, man. I really do.
I approve.
All right. If Marvin approves, then that's all that matters to me.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Jahi. Thank you.
Yahi. It cut off earlier, Yahi, but you were preaching there. Like, I was about to collect an offering because that was really good, man.
So before we go, we're actually going to take a quick pick. But before I do that, please follow us on NY Latino Film Festival, NY Latino Film Festival on Instagram. So share your experience. We have one more film tomorrow, Critical Thinking, back over here. We're actually going to release some more seats tonight. So if you want to pick up some tickets, they should be available by like tomorrow at 12 for car seats, if you have any cars that want to come through. But it's going to be tomorrow night. It's our last night here in the BX. Thank you all for coming. Follow that gram. And, yeah, spread some love. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you, Yahi.
Everyone. Thank you, guys.
We're going to take a quick, so
I
stay
love
right
you,
there.
kid. I love you. You know that Kesai is here. Kesai
Take a virtual pic. Stay right there.
Should we get closer?
Say hi to Kesai.
Kesai, what's up, bro?